Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Mark and Mitch Show. Happy New Year's. We are recording this on December 31st, 2017. Mitch, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Ready for 2018 and all the great tours coming up. And farewell tours.
Yeah, we'll be back with lots more to talk about in 2018. But we kind of just wanted to wrap up this year talking about festivals.
Right.
Victor Ruiz, who does some writing for TalkingRock.net, recently wrote an article, which I encourage everyone to check out, called Can Festivals Carry On? And he brings up some interesting points and expresses his opinion on this topic. But, the thing is, a lot of these bands are getting older. Kiss, Aerosmith, Deep Purple, Ozzy, a lot of these guys.
Sabbath, Judas Priest.
Sabbath. Yeah, some of them are gone already. Motley Crue, Sabbath, they've called it a day already. Motorhead, gone. So can actually these festivals continue? I'm talking 10 to 20 years down the road, or are we kind of nearing the end of this festival run because we're not really seeing younger bands replace these what people are now calling legacy bands like Iron Maiden and the Scorpions. I mean, when I was a kid, on the Scorpions Love It First Sting tour, I remember they came to Chicago where I lived. They sold out 3 nights easy at the Rosemont Horizon, and what rock bands are doing that today? Sure, there's a handful, but not like it was back in those days. Where are we going to be when Iron Maiden has retired, when Metallica is retired? Is there anybody coming that can replace these bands?
I don't know if there's anybody coming. I think what we're almost
I'm talking on the festival circuit.
Yeah, and I'm looking at even the arena circuit. You look at some of the up-and-coming bands, your Black Veil Brides or Asking Alexandria and all that. They're playing 2,000 seaters, 2,500 seaters. There's not a lot of arena shows. The Bell Center in Montreal is losing a lot of these hard rock bands. Now, the rap and the hip-hop and the pop stars, that's a different story. But we're slowly losing that ability to sell out arenas. So not only I think our festival is going to be in trouble, I think arena shows are going to be in trouble. We're going to be seeing a lot more rock bands in clubs and theaters. Now, the good thing about festivals, though, is that if you pick and choose the proper 30 bands or 40 bands, you could still somewhat make it exciting without that major headliner, without that Guns N' Roses, without that Metallica, without that Kiss and stuff. But the arena, when it's sort of one-on-one, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a good point that sometimes the festivals, just on their own, they become this destination and this event. And it's more than just the one main headlining band. It's Heavy Montreal, for example. I mean, it's a whole thing with food stands and a whole community that comes together. M3, the same thing.
Wacken, of course, is the biggest one.
Yeah, where it's just it's really a movement of beer drinking and talking rock and metal and just metal fashions, metal people all hanging out, having a good time, picnics, barbecues, it's all there. So I do think the festival does have that going for it. Personally, I think there's a bigger thing to talk about with this, and that's just, back in the day, like a band like Badlands, I was just talking to Eric Singer, and he mentioned, when Badlands went out in their first tour, we had over $200,000 tour support, and there was a big promotion budget behind it. I mean, you look at these bands like Black Veil Brides, and there's a band called Crash Diet, which I think is great, and I think they don't have that business muscle behind them like these bands used to back in the day, and that,
it's also being replaced, too. I mean, they used to have the record companies that would say, get out there and sell us some records. Now it's like the energy drinks, your Monsters and Jack Daniels and Jägermeister that are sponsoring these bands. And so there's a different kind of commitment to the band. They're more about get out there and sell us a few drinks rather than get out there and sell a few albums. So they're not as committed to the music, I think, though Monster does a great job, and Black Veil Brides, I think, is sponsored by Monster, and there's a Monster Energy Drink Tour and stuff like that. But Yeah, I think the level of commitment from record companies and industry people that really want to see the music be put forth, we've lost that. And I don't know if we're going to get that back. We didn't groom the next generation. But, when that sort of nirvana period hit, there was that implosion, and we never sort of built it back up and had that support. Once Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and all those bands disappeared, well, there was just a vacuum created. And, of course, then the Kisses and the Guns N' Roses and the Quiet Riots came back and filled that void. But, if you're looking at a baseball team or a football team, it's nice to have veterans. But if you don't got some rookies, your team's not going to succeed 5 years down the road. And I think we're at that point in rock that if we don't get some rookies, we're in trouble.
Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned sports, because I see in sports and in politics and in fashion and television, this movement where there's money and corporate muscle put into an effort to attract younger people in their 20s to what they're selling, whether it's their political agenda, their sports team, their TV shows, and it just seems like the music industry gave up on this, and instead is more concerned with making sure the Eagles are still played on classic rock radio over and over and over again. And I don't know, it just seems like a mistake. And to me, I believe that we could have prevented this. And when I say we, I mean somebody somewhere or,
right. But I mean, music suffered some things that the other industries didn't, and they suffered oversaturation with Spotify and iTunes and Deezer and Stitcher and YouTube. You could go find your music everywhere, whereas if you want to see the New York Giants, there's really only one place to see the New York Giants. You can't go to YouTube and find 18,000 different New York Giants. So music, unfortunately, befell its own success. People wanted more, and so we created more platforms, and now it's become so much water in the wine that we only have a glass of water left. We don't have any wine left. So I don't know. Boy, it's tough. I guess at some point it'll all come together, or just the business model of festivals will have to change. Will have to be sort of more new bread, alternative.
Right.
Maybe it's just the day of the headliner is gone. Is there a band out there that can get 50,000 people by themselves? Probably not. I mean, not once Guns N' Roses and Metallica and AC/DC call it a day for real.
Yeah.
The end of days are coming.
Yeah. Well, I definitely hope the festivals can continue on for the next generation, because I think they're such a special event, and I really, truly love hitting these festivals. I mean, I do
too. But I think we've also gotten to a point where there's just too many festivals.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah.
I think. In Canada, we have Heavy Montreal, which, by the way, I encourage everybody to go to this year. If you're a hard rock fan, this year's festival in July is going to be great. There's Rockfest. That's about it for Canada. In the States, though, you've got one popping up every weekend.
Right.
And they just don't have the infrastructure. I mean, I've been to a couple with you, and you're in a barn.
Right.
Or you're in some cow field, and it's just like, oh, this is not a festival. It's a fucking shitstorm.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see. There's hope, but let's get some new bands out there. And so I'm going to recommend a couple of new bands.
Oh yeah, please.
The Biters, out of Atlanta, great new band. I'm thinking of one. Imperial State Electric out of Sweden, which is definitely worth checking out. So there's hope for the future. Let's bring these bands out.
Good. I like your attitude.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. On that note, we're going to wrap it up for 2017, guys. Again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year. Actually, this will be probably posted the first day or two of 2018.
So here we are. Welcome to 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheap
exactly.
Got to be old
Cheap
school.
Trick. Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that sweater, by the way. Nice stuff. Anyways, Mitch, take care, and we will definitely check you out next time, and we'll check your podcast out.
Yeah.
Rock Talk.
With Mitch Lafon.
Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon, of course, Talking Metal with Mark Strigl.
And TalkingRock.net.
And TalkingRock.net is just about there. couple minor tweaks left, but it is up and running. So please check that out. TalkingRock.net.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.